You know you are meant for more, a higher ceiling, and a floor that is strong enough to hold it. That's your belief system talking, and this is the subconscious work, the 95% that makes growth feel inevitable. It works in any business, any facet of life. We built you a free 3-minute quiz to show you where the gaps are and what is possible for you. It's fast, it's honest, it's fun, and it might surprise you. If you already know that Outspoken is for you, join us. The next cohort kicks off in August. Both links are in the show notes. Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. You've landed in the right place to learn how to own your story, release subconscious beliefs, rewire your mind, and step into the impact you know you're here to create. Through Outspoken Publishing and NLP certifications, we share the tools and subconscious shifts that expand your voice, your message, your confidence, and your leadership. I am your host, Marsha Van Weinsberg, NLP trainer, speaker, author, and publisher. I am thrilled you are here. Let's get started. Have you ever told yourself a story that you have had on repeat that you didn't even realize was a story that you were telling yourself? So I actually had this story for so much of my life. It's actually kind of embarrassing. But I've always, if you know me, you know, and a lot of my friends know, we have walked through wild things that I can't really even put into words. The kind where we often joke about, like, that would be a Netflix series. And it's just been like something that's been on repeat many, many times. And I didn't even realize for the longest time that I would make fun of just, yeah, that's my life. We struggle all the time. And you don't think of it as a phrase or a limiting belief or a limiting decision because it's just what you say. And it became this joke amongst a bunch of us. Even one of my dear friends, who I love you if you hear this, but she was like, wow, you must have really done something wrong in a past life for everything that goes wrong. And I know we're joking, but I also want you to understand that when you're joking, my subconscious mind doesn't know. It takes things literally. So, as I've said for many, many years to myself, like, I got on the wrong bus, I got on the struggle bus. Everything felt like a struggle. Everything felt hard. And it doesn't take long to recognize that if that's what you're saying to yourself over and over, then that feels true because, again, it doesn't know the difference between what is truth or not true. It doesn't know. The same thing as if you are replaying an old story, if you are talking about it, ruminating on it, like speaking about it over and over, your subconscious mind doesn't know if it happened or if it's happening. It doesn't know the difference. And that's why it's also so important to think about, like, as you're creating a vision, can you be in a space and an energy of what would I see, feel, and hear if it was already done and if I had it? Because it now then you can start to familiarize yourself with as if it's already done. Your subconscious mind has less to be afraid of because you have adopted it. You've normalized being around it. So for me, it was struggle. And when I learned my human design, I learned it probably 5 years ago. And I'm not a human design coach. We actually released an episode at the end of July on human design. And it was with Kellyanne and Jacqueline from the True North podcast. They're fantastic. We talked all about human design. And for me, it was actually a very freeing thing to learn when I started to understand that I'm not too late that I figured this out after 50, and it wasn't too late. It was the fact that that actually was my design by things. I was meant to learn the hard way, experience lessons, walk through those lessons, embody them, and then teach them after 50. It's so interesting that everything completely changed right after 50. But one of the channels, and they're called channels in human design, don't ask me, but we all have certain channels between where they are closed or open. For me, I have a defined channel. It's called the channel of struggle. And I was like, are you serious? Like, does this mean I'm supposed to struggle? And that has sat in my head for, well, my whole life. But the last 5 years since I have learned human design, I have heard this on a repeat loop in my life about this channel of struggle. And when I knew I was prepping for this podcast recording, one of my friends, students was like, "Oh my God, you have to ask about the channel struggle because I just can't believe it." So, anyways, I did. I was like, "Can you please help me with understanding this?" And this was probably the most important reframe I have ever had, to be completely honest. And this is why it's so important because whether you are joking, whether you are serious, whatever you are repeating, you believe to be true. You believe it to be true. And so even if I joked about struggle, it was like, yep, this is my life. So when we had this interview, I was like, I need to ask about this channel because I don't understand. And it was interesting. If you hear it, I was like, is it an omen? Like, seriously, Marsha, it's not an omen. But I asked, is it an omen? And Kellyanne said in the interview, she's like, no, it's not an omen. It's your gift. Well, if you have just picture, I'm like, gift? Are you kidding me? This not been a gift? And that was my thought process behind it. And this is what we can do with our own thoughts. I'm thinking it's an omen or the hardest thing. I'm like, life is meant to be hard. I'm meant to do it the hard way. And all of a sudden she laughed and she was like, no, that's not what it means at all. And this became a real reframe in the moment. When she looked at the definition, the word struggle or channel of struggle is just a label. See, a label is just like labeling your kids as something. But if you say it long enough and if you repeat it long enough, it becomes an identity. So be very careful what your words are and what you're saying because you are creating an identity, especially if it's an identity that you don't even want. When you repeat it subconsciously, it becomes the truth. And what if instead the label is just a story, a different way of thinking, and it doesn't have to be a label? So I had adopted challenge and struggle as this whole identity. And God, to even just mess it up even more, I was in a space of feeling like, watch me overcome this challenge to show how strong I am. See, this is what the subconscious mind does. If it takes the command that we're here to struggle and show how strong we are, then that's what it's going to go look for. More struggle, more challenge. Perfect. Look, we overcame it. Look how strong we are. And all of a sudden, you are maybe you do this, reinforcing your own belief that you don't even want. Like you don't even want it. And you're repeating it and reinforcing it over and over. And so when Kellyanne read it, she looks it up. She's like, oh, no, that channel isn't about struggle. It's about tenacity and stubbornness. It's what drives you to discover profound meaning by bravely fighting for what is right. All right, so let's just for a second. In my head, for 55, 56 years, I've told myself that I got on the wrong bus. It's all about struggle. I'm like strong because I've had to do it the hard way, pushing the snowball up a hill. And that's the message that I've said. When actually, if you look at this channel in human design, for example, I'm in a space and it stands for tenacity and stubbornness. It's what drives you to discover profound meaning by bravely fighting for what is right. Oh my God. I feel like that's like a definition of me. Tenacity and stubbornness. That's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. They're the exact same traits that built everything that I do. Everything that I do has come from that tenacity and stubbornness. And I'm so proud of those pieces. And over time, I've had to learn that if I want to sustain what I am building, it requires slowing down nervous system regulation and reprogramming these thoughts and beliefs. And so all of a sudden, I'm calling these traits struggle my whole life. And instead, it's about tenacity and stubbornness. Stubbornness isn't a bad thing. I don't quit very easily. Sometimes I probably should quit sooner on some things, but I don't. And I feel like this is actually going to have to go into some of my description on my website that we're rebuilding because it just clicked in the moment. Nothing about me was different, but how I saw myself was different. How I saw this story that I had wrapped up about struggle and challenge. It felt different. And this is what this work is. If you can reframe, what would change for you if you could reframe a thought, a belief, a pattern that you have had on repeat your whole life? Like you've just done it over and over and over and over. Whether it was from a parent, a teacher, a sibling, I mean, something at school, maybe it was just somebody said something, or maybe you just perceived it to be that way. You know, hearing this piece of struggle versus tenacity, hearing too much, too loud. God, I wish we would start to call women, young girls, like powerful, like leadership skills. I was constantly told I was too much as a kid. Difficult instead of discerning, right? Introvert is that's a bad thing. They're so quiet when actually that can be a gift too. So the labels that you make for yourself, the way that you discern them, the way that you describe yourself, you're creating a label. And I want you to ask yourself, is it the label that I want? Is it the label that I want? I often joke that, I had a teacher my English teacher in high school. I promise you, I said for the longest time, if she would have seen how many books that I have been a part of, published, and helped bring out to the world, she would laugh. Well, I did get a Facebook message from her saying, wow, I did see that. And that's not what I would have thought. And I'm like, me either. See, there's room for growth. There's so much room for growth. And how do you speak to yourself? What label are you creating? Because whatever you are saying on repeat, you are creating an identity. And that identity is the lens, is the internal representation for how you see the world around you, all around you. It creates the meaning that you attach to what you're seeing. And so for me, this was almost this very, it was a laughable, fun moment. It was in the podcast recording if you happen to listen to it. But it was also very freeing, and I felt very open in recognizing that that doesn't have to be the reality. Your gift could be the thing that you have resisted most of your life. It can be the thing that you've pushed down, that you've hidden, that you felt like, oh, I don't know, this is not something that I'm very good at, when actually it was your gift. I have 2 people on my team right now that are a line 1 in human design. If you don't know what that is completely fine. They're line 1, they're investigators. And I'll tell you, oh my God, I'm so grateful for them because they're the detailed people who catch the things that I just don't. That's not where my strength lies. Yet, if you ask them, they were always told, they were just like, it's so detailed. It would take so long to do things. They had to have the answers. That was not a negative at all. It was a positive. It was a gift. And so ask yourself, what is the thing that you have been telling yourself over and over? I'm not good at this. This is hard for me because I am meant to struggle. Whatever those things are, recognize the only person with the most amount of love, the only person who is feeding that belief, who is giving it life, who is speaking it over and over and over is you. You are bringing it to life and you are keeping it alive by the words you are saying, the thoughts you are thinking, and how many repeat times a day you're doing that. And because of those thoughts, you are shutting yourself off of opportunities that are right here and right available for you because you believe that you are not worthy of that or you can't do it. Our thoughts have so much more power than what any of us will ever realize, honestly. If there is one thing I would the hill I will die on, the thoughts you think, the words you speak, they are creating your life at all times. It is not about being a fake positive. It is not about an affirmation. It is about recognizing and calling out the words and the thoughts that you are saying that do not support you. Because if you can't speak in a way that supports you into moving into the direction that you want to be in, then no one else is going to do it. And if someone else steps in and does it for you, it won't matter because the way that you're speaking to yourself is what's dictating what you see unfold. The words, the power, it all comes from you. And that is one of the most powerful things that you can do is learn how to reframe, speak life into what you want versus what you don't want. If you want to learn how to do this, I invite you to take it's a quiz, it's in the show notes, but it really is about where is the gap for you of where you are today to where you want to go. Where's the gap? There's a subconscious gap, and it always comes down to a belief, a thought, a pattern in your subconscious mind that is not in alignment yet with where you say you want to go. And when you bring those things in line, that is when your results, creating your results, becomes more effortless. And it's really, really freaking powerful. So if this speaks to you, if you've had a good laugh at my expense, that's good too. If this speaks to you, I would love to know what is something that you are reframing, you are calling attention to, you're becoming aware of, and how can we support you in this process? I encourage you to take the quiz. If you're like, that's it, I want to know how to do this, then jump into Outspoken because the next round kicks off in August. And this is what this work is. I'm telling you, life-changing. I hope you've had a good laugh and I hope you have an incredible day. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. I invite you to tag me on social media with your takeaways or share it with a friend. If you feel called, please leave a 5-star review and I would be forever grateful. Until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you own your life.